Telegraph this morning is reporting that Keir Starmer was part of a legal case that opened the door to hundreds of British soldiers being pursued for alleged war crimes.
Unearthed court documents suggest the now Prime Minister worked on a human rights claim. This was back in 2007, and it led the Ministry of Defence to order fresh inquiries into these deaths in Iraq.
Yeah, a former British Army spokesman, Major Michael Shearer, joins us now. Very good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I found this story particularly shocking, mainly because Keir Starmer did this for free, meaning that he obviously had some kind of vested interest in it. He wasn't earning money from it. So what do you make of it?
Exactly right. Look, I was there in 2007, and the article that you referred to in the Telegraph, it basically accuses the Prime Minister of being ideologically hostile towards soldiers. And you asked a good question. Why pro bono? Why would you go out of your way to do this at no cost to yourself? I mean, people have to make a living, even barristers. So there's something dreadful that lies underneath this. And if you're doing it for nothing, it indicates that you are interested in the outcome. And not on his own, by the way. He had his sidekick, Hermer, with him, I understand. Look, this man, our Prime Minister, has got questions to answer about this. He supported Phil Shiner's claims. Look, of all the claims that were made, almost 4,000, well, 3,392 claims, 2/3 of those were linked to Shiner's office. And the Prime Minister had done some work with him.
Shiner is the discredited solicitor that was in charge of the cases.
Exactly right. The bane of my life at the time. And just the whole flavour of this. Last week, the Labour Party won a House of Commons vote to remove immunity for up-banner veterans. That is the soldiers that were working in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. Now, I mean, this is just nuts. If we are going to give terrorists, the IRA, letters of comfort to say, relax, we're not going to pursue you, surely we can do the same for our veterans.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews.
And why do you think this? I mean, how is this going to help people wanting to go into the military? We know we have a problem with our military at the moment. We're underfunded, we don't have enough staff, at a time when the world has never looked more hostile. What message is this sending out to our armed forces that our Prime Minister cared so little about serving men and women in Iraq that he was actually actively going after them?
Look, it's dreadful. The security of our country is on its knees, as is most other departments, but the security is arguably the most important. Look, I predict that by Easter, the Prime Minister, through his lackluster policies, will have recruited criminal illegal immigrants into this country through boats coming across the channel greater than the size of the British Army. Now, he certainly knows how to recruit them. You make a good point. Why would anybody want to join the armed forces when they know that as soon as they do their day's work, they may well be being pursued by the government? Look, who is the Prime Minister working for? There's a litany of things going on. The Chagos Islands, giving away 35 to 47 billion pounds. The Super Chinese Spy Embassy, paving the way for illegal immigrants. To the Prime Minister, boats mean votes. Allowing Islamist ideology to thrive. We still haven't prescribed the Islamic Republican Guard Corps yet. Pakistani rape games, the attack on farmers, energy bills, taxing education, small business, landlords. Oh my goodness, I could go on. But there's something desperately wrong with our political elite right now in government.
Well, Michael, very interestingly put. Thank you for talking to us today. And Major Michael Shearer outlining there more illegal immigrants in the country than there would be members of the armed forces there, for instance. Yeah. Your views, who is running the country? What is the Prime Minister's interests? If you've got a view, share them with us. Please do have your say.
Yeah, and just to give those numbers, over 40,000 illegal boat migrants in a year, and the army at the moment is around about 70,000. So we are heading in that direction. OK, now a Downing Street spokesperson has said the Prime Minister will never forget the courage, bravery and sacrifice made for their country by British servicemen and women. During his career, he has represented British soldiers who were killed in action and were wrongly accused. The Prime Minister did not represent the claimants in this case. He represented interveners, including the Law Society of England and Wales.
Well, it's an extraordinary story that I'm very disappointed to have read in the Telegraph. And as you say, it's even more extraordinary that he acted in this case without pay, which means that he was obviously personally interested and personally committed to see this thing through. And the result of his intervention way back in 2007 was that a number of soldiers, a large number of soldiers, were investigated time and again as a result of the judgment that he worked to achieve. Now, it turned out many years later, the law lords having passed a view, the thing then went to Strasbourg, that a solicitor's firm, a gentleman called Shiner, who eventually was struck off, it turned out that his firm was behind many of these cases, that a number of the cases were taken forward based on false information which had been generated. And frankly, the whole thing has been a complete disaster. And it's resulted in a large number of honest, hard-working soldiers who have been doing their duty in Iraq, and there were spillovers of similar situations in Afghanistan, being dragged through the courts after countless investigations. And if the Prime Minister has played a role in this, we need to see this exposed, and he needs to explain himself, because frankly, it's an outrage. And in the context of what happened last week, quite rightly, Keir Starmer spoke up against what Donald Trump had said. But frankly, soldiers shouldn't be politicized. Soldiers shouldn't be footballs. Soldiers get up in the morning to do their duty for Queen, our King and country, and they need to be supported. On the odd occasion, if something's gone wrong, no one's above the law, then soldiers should be brought to justice. But so many of these cases in Iraq were as a result of changed decisions, and I think evidence seems to show that Keir Starmer played a role in all this.
Lord Dannett, it's a very sensitive area, and you of course being former head of the British Army there, and you're saying to people, look, we're in this together. We're here for you. You're here representing your country. But what if there were war crimes? Can we be sure that those would be rooted out, that those would be detected?
Well, it's very hard to say you can be completely sure, but the system is there that soldiers go about their duty doing what they do. The vast majority do what they do according to the law and with the best interests of the situation that they find themselves confronted with. That's what governs their actions. Now, if there are occasions when there are suspicions that something has gone wrong, then it's the duty of the chain of command to report these matters to the military police or to the respective authorities, and that these things are investigated. And if there is evidence that something wrong has been carried out, then quite rightly, investigation should be further, charges brought and matters brought before a court. As I said before, and we all agree, no one, not even soldiers doing their duty, are above the law.
Yeah.
But what we saw, and it was during my time as Chief of the General Staff, back between 2006 and 2009, the courts were ruling that previous investigations have been insufficient and that further investigations were carried out, sometimes multiple times, but invariably they resulted in no charges being laid and no convictions being sought. So we had an absolute litany of multiple investigations on multiple soldiers, which caused huge upset to these individuals. And that is not right. Soldiers have got to feel when they put the uniform on and go out on patrol, go out on duty at the beginning of the day, that their government will support them and will not carry out a witch hunt against them. And this has come back into light now in the light of the legislation being changed with regard to the troubles in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
These things have got to be looked at very carefully.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to undermine motivation and morale of soldiers. And frankly, young people will think to themselves, why would I bother to put the King's uniform on if actually the government is going to chase me and not support me?